I want to welcome everyone to our October 17, 2019 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting. If you would, join me in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the gifts that we receive from you. We ask that you watch over the men and women who serve in our armed forces, as well as all emergency responders. I ask for wisdom and understanding for this court. Grant us humility in our everyday life and give us the courage to make right decisions for our Daviess County community. We ask all of these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, I want to welcome everyone to our October 17, 2019 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting. When I said to pledge, I was thinking about those men and women who went on the honor flight the last couple of days. We had 3 World War II veterans. So many of them are dying. 1,000 a day now are passing away. We had veterans from the Korean War, and we had Vietnam vets, and the Vietnam vets were mainly the ones, that's why this meeting or this flight was made, was for Vietnam vets. And any of you who are as old as I am and who had occasion to serve in the military back in the 60s and 70s know that when those gentlemen returned home, they were not necessarily treated in the manner that we should be proud of. And I think that this honor flight provided some closing for those gentlemen. So as I said when they left Tuesday, really the only words I could say was to thank them for their service. And then remember back when I was in their same shoes down here in front of the federal building on a bus waiting to go to Fort Knox, not having any clue what was going on. The good news was that when they inducted me into the Army and they sent my clothes home in a box, my mom and my wife cried for days. At least that's what they told me. So, all right, are you ready? You're not Jenny. Where's Jenny? Are you Jenny in a Halloween costume?
That's it.
All right, Terry, let's go.
Okay, Friendly Village Sewer Project Closeout Public Hearing.
All right, so I'm going to declare this public hearing open, and as you are well aware, I guess this is CDBG. Is that what the hearing is about? The community development and block grant funds were used for the Friendly Village project. That project was completed four weeks ago, probably, and they are now up and running. As a matter of fact, on October the 28th at 5:30 p.m. out in Friendly Village, weather permitting, we are going to have a dedication of the project. Commissioner Sandra Donahue will be here from the Department for Local Government. So Joanna Shake is here with Grad. Are you going to do it, or is Blake going to do it? Okay.
I'm Joanna Shake with the Green River Area Development District. Along with me is my colleague Blake Edge. As the judge mentioned, the project's complete. The purpose of the public hearing is just to inform the public of the project, which was replacement of a failing package treatment plant in Friendly Village. It was replaced with 26,000 linear feet of 21,000 forced main and 4,000 of directional bore to the nearest RWA collector, which was located at the airport. The court received $1 million in CDBG funds coupled with Kentucky Infrastructure Authority monies totaling an additional 1.1.
Yeah, hold on a second. Either we're going to have a plane crash into the building or we have an audio problem. Try it now.
All right. The project was monitored by the Department for Local Government and found to be in compliance. A project closeout report has been completed. We have 2 draws left, one from each funding source, and we hope to get all of those documents up to Frankfurt by the end of the month. Okay. And so I'm just here to answer any questions.
Okay, commissioners, any questions?
No, but I have a comment.
Okay.
And I told Joanna this before the meeting. The other day I was in a store and a guy stopped me. and just said, "I want to thank you, Commissioner Wathen." And I said, "Do I know you?" And he said, "No, but I live in Friendly Village." And he said, "It is wonderful to have that behind us." And he said, "I think the value of my house has already gone up." So anyway,
Right.
I just thought I'd pass that on. Usually when I get stopped in the store, it's not as positive as that, but it was a great feeling. And he was really happy and sincere, so I just thought I'd pass that on.
I appreciate that, Commissioner. I think that's been the attitude of the majority of the folks that have attended the meetings, have known or understand what Daviess County Fiscal Court did, which was in effect guarantee the operation of that sewer plant for 2 years while they were being tied on.
Right.
But also wheedle and weasel money out of the Department for Local Government so that the cost to those folks in that development was not anywhere near what it could have been. So we, in effect, were able to affect the lives of 67 homeowners and homes in that area who really didn't have any other choice except to go in that direction. So any other question or comment?
I would just say this kind of brings us to a conclusion, or at least the October 28th will, to this project. And again, Judge, I just want to thank you for all the work you put in on it, and because I know, as you said at the beginning, this is the largest asset, the homes that
Right.
were at risk is the largest asset that some of these people probably own. Mm-hmm. And to be at risk of losing it and having essentially zero value was a tremendous stressor for those individuals. And so I appreciate all the work you did.
Well, it wasn't just me, it was you guys and your phone calls and your conversations, being at the meetings. Claude, when we asked to intervene, it took and Grad was invaluable in their effort in navigating Frankfurt, so we patted ourselves on the back enough. Any comment from the public?
All right, thank you, Judge.
If there are no comments from the public, then I will declare this hearing closed. Next item.
Number 1, consideration for presentation. A, proclaim October 26, 2019 as National Prescription Drugs Take-Back Day.
Commissioner Koger, I think you've got the proclamation. Would you mind reading that?
Yes, Judge. This is from Office of the County Judge Executive, whereas the National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day addresses a crucial public safety and health issue, and whereas according to the 2018 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, 9.9 million Americans reported to have misused controlled prescription drugs, and whereas the same survey shows that majority of abused prescription drugs were obtained from family and friends and often the home's medicine cabinets, and whereas National Take Back Day events provide an opportunity for Americans to prevent drug addiction and overdose deaths, and now therefore, I, Daviess County Judge Executive Al Mattingly, do hereby proclaim October 26, 2019 as National Prescription Drugs Take Back Day.
Commissioner, I don't think anyone's here to accept that, so if you'll pass it down, I'll give it to Terry, and you will make sure that it gets to the appropriate person. Correct? Okay, next item.
B, Ohio County Water District Annual Financial Report, 2017 and 2018.
Commissioners, in your packet is just a financial report. Some people might question, why does Ohio County's Water District report to us? It's simply because they provide water for some of the residents in Daviess County. I think it's east and southeast portions.
Yeah, it's the area around Pleasant Ridge and Red Hill.
Okay, so, and we actually have a board member that sits on that board. So their financial report is on file in our office. Anyone is welcome to come in and look at it. Next item.
2, consideration for approval. A, minutes of the October 3rd, 2019 court meeting.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, you all had a copy of the minutes in your possession for some time. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
B, all claims for all departments.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and second. Again, Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court in your possession for some time. Any questions of the treasurer? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
C, contract with the Kentucky Department of Employee Insurance for the provision of health insurance coverage and authorize the judge executive and county treasurer to execute any and all documents related to providing the 2020 employee benefits, including health, vision, dental, and life insurance.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Hendricks.
Yes, Judge. On September the 11th, we received from our agents that we use to provide insurance, Peel and Holland, we received the renewal for the existing health benefits. That renewal was horrible. It was unaffordable and unacceptable. Fortunately, because of the people we're dealing with, they didn't just bring us the bad news and dump it on us. They brought us a viable alternative. That alternative is the Kentucky Employees Health Insurance Plan. They've actually been talking to a couple of us about that for 3 or 4 years. We were getting close to that being the viable alternative. Last year, we kept thinking that the trend that we were seeing would turn around. For the 5th consecutive year, it continues to get worse. So the problem is the risk profile with our account is spread over too few people, and it just makes it totally unaffordable. Obviously, insurance affordability is a national problem. There was an article in Bloomberg the same week we got our news stating that the average price of a family plan now is between $25,000 and $30,000. So it's a national issue. But the plan, as we had it, we tweaked it 3 or 4 times the last 3 years and kept punting it, but we hit the wall, and we simply have an insurance plan that's no longer affordable as is. Fortunately for us, because we are in the state pension plan and CERS, we have opened us this insurance plan. We are able to get in it's an Anthem network, just like the one we already have. So our doctors will all still be in the network. It's going to be at a greatly reduced price because you're spreading the risk over 268,000 employees. The court will save a minimum of $1.5 million and more likely $2.5 million based on claims. So once we reviewed it and I began to talk to the members of the court, everyone independently came to the same conclusion that we should migrate our plan to the KEHP plan. Judge Mattingly and I, because of time constraints, we didn't have a court meeting, and we had to be in Frankfurt by Friday, September the 20th, in order to secure us being able to join this on January 1 when our new year started. So that's what we did. We went up and signed this document subject to formal court approval, which is what this is. You have the contract in front of you. The contract lays out the terms and conditions by which we are eligible. It verifies some things like that we are in the pension plan, that we are eligible. There is a 3-year commitment. Once we get in the plan, we cannot exit the plan for a minimum of 3 years. Based upon my knowledge of our risk profile, there's no way we're coming out in 3 years anyway. It's not good. It won't cost us anything, that feature won't. But we will have to stay. And it just lays out the other provisions, which are really not, they're just the things that you would expect to be in here. We make certain agreements that we won't promote any other health insurance while they're in this one, which we wouldn't do anyway. So I've read the document. The document appears to be ordered. Gentlemen, I would recommend approval.
Jim, pretty much we could make the statement that our employees will see very little, if any, change in the insurance coverage that's afforded to them now.
That's correct. We had 5 employee meetings today to talk to them about the new features of the new plan. And yeah, we're really lucky. Most of the plans, now in addition to the health insurance, we also, effective 1, we will have a new vision insurance, life insurance, the HRA, the flex plan, the waivers, and the wellness. Everything's new. The only thing that we're retaining is the current dental plan, which was superior to the one not being offered. We'll retain the dental. We'll retain the Century Health, the former Edumedics program, and there's a couple of old cancer policies that are grandfathered in. Everything else changes January 1. But yeah, when you put the policy side by side, we're going from 2 offerings to 4 offerings, but only 2 of the 4 are really going to be viable for most people. We have a core plan and a buyout plan. Their plan A and B pretty well mirror those 2 plans. So they'll see very few differences in the insurance. It just will be a lot cheaper.
And this is a 3-year commitment, minimum of 3-year commitment.
The commitment for us to stay in is 3 years. The prices and rates will change annually,
Right.
but they won't be extreme.
They will not be as drastic as
They will not.
we have seen. I'm sitting here I just lost my train of thought. Well, commissioners, any question or comment?
We're gonna have another meeting for the employees that wasn't here today?
There's not that many, but yeah, we'll either have a catch-up meeting or meet with them individually. There's really very few that didn't make it.
Any other question or comment?
I just want to say thank you, Jim, for the work that you did on it.
Thank you. And I would like to thank Peel and Holland, because
Right.
I'm telling you, we could have been in a real bind. But
Well-
it cost them money to recommend this.
I'm glad you're bringing
It cost
it up.
them at least 1/3 of their revenue to bring it to us.
And the other thing, I just remembered what I was trying to remember, is that this is the same plan that our retirees will transition to.
It's a sister plan. The active employees are in a pool.
Yeah.
The retirees are in a separate pool,
Okay.
but they're very similar, and the way that the online system works will be,
right.
yes, it will
There'll be
very
very
similar.
little confusion
That's
when they
correct.
move from one to the other. Any other question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor, yes, I'm sorry.
I was just, the statement you just made about our retirees.
Okay.
So are our current retirees already in this plan or the sister plan?
They would be in the sister plan. yes.
Our current employees?
If they're retiring,
Our current retirees are.
yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
The current retirees are in there's an active employee pool, sorry,
Yeah.
and a retiree pool. If you pull them up on the website, you'll see they're different,
Okay,
but they're similar.
okay.
So the way the website went, as our employees retire, they have to get used to using that CRIS or whatever they call that. Yeah, online system. This way, they'll all automatically know how to use it, so there won't be that transition.
Okay. I see.
Okay. No other question or comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
D, annual order of affiliation agreement with the Daviess County Search and Rescue Team.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. I don't see anyone here from EMA. Yes, but Jim Huff, you're here. What this does is it just lists certain duties of EMA and certain duties of the search and rescue, memorializes it in a document, pretty much the same. If you have anything that you would like to say, Jim, you're welcome to come up to the, you have to come to the podium.
I believe we went through this last year. The only thing that's changed this year is just a date. Everything is the same.
It's the same as, it's pretty much the same as we always have done.
That's correct.
Any question or comment? Thank you. Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
E, reject bid number 40, 2019, animal shelter painting project.
Motion approved.
Second?
I have a motion and second. Jordan, tell me why we're doing this.
Yes, Judge. Bid 40, 2019, we solicited bids for power washing and painting services for the animal shelter to include the dog kennels and front offices, and we received 2 bids. The base bid price ranged from $22,150 to $28,500. The lowest bid exceeded the allocated budget for this project by approximately 25%. We recommend rejecting all bids and reassessing the project for a future fiscal period pending budget approval.
Question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
F, award bid number 41, 2019, Judicial Center caulking project.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Jordan, this is one we've rejected 2 or 3 times. Are we finally going to get a recommendation?
Hopefully.
All right.
Bid 41, 2019, we solicited bids to replace the granite caulking and to cut and caulk exterior vinyl seals of the operable windows of the Morton J. Holbrook Judicial Center. We received 3 bids ranging from $142,460 to $375,000. After speaking to the participants, we believe that the wide range was due to projecting a high labor cost to fit this project into their current workload, given that it is a very labor-intensive job. We believe this is also the reason for the price fluctuation the last few times that we've tried to bid the work. The Administrative Office of the Courts has budgeted for this item this year and has agreed to reimburse Fiscal Court the full amount of the low bid. So we are recommending award to the lowest and best evaluated bid of Kentucky Mirror in the amount of $142,460. There were no exceptions to our specifications. I recommend approval.
Question or comment, Commissioners? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
G, surety bond release for Lake Forest, units number 19 and 23.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and second. Mr. Brasher, you reviewed everything that's in order,
I have.
and you make that
I
recommendation?
recommend approval.
Any question or comment? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
3, consideration for discussion. A, annual bid advertisements, engine oils and lubricants, bituminous hot mix and pavement milling, mosquito control services.
Commissioners, I just wanted to let you know that those bids, those annual bids that we do every year are coming up. Jordan, do you have anything that you want to say about them?
Outside of the fact I plan to issue them October 25th, open them November 14th, and bring them to the court at the end of November, beginning of December.
Okay, and at the recommendation of one of the vendors several years ago, you've come up with some kind of matrix that everybody uses so that they're all on an even playing field?
Absolutely. They can estimate their projected revenue.
Okay. Any questions, Commissioners? Questions by the public? Next item.
B, other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court.
You don't have any, do you? Good. Next item.
Public comments.
This is a time during a meeting in which we invite the public to come forward to the podium, identify yourselves. You are welcome to speak on any issue other than what was on the agenda. Got a court full.
Evening, Commissioners, Judge. When I was here a couple of weeks ago asking you all to consider a non-discrimination ordinance, you asked if I would provide instances of discrimination, and I documented some of those for you, so I brought copies tonight.
You want to bring them up?
Sure.
Do you have enough for all? Okay.
Thank you.
No, you're fine. I know. Well, at home, with my Judge Judy at home, you do too.
Yeah, no kidding. I've met her. She's a lovely and patient woman.
Yes.
So just a couple of quick notes about what I gave you. So actually, it was City Commissioner Pam Smith-Wright recently who told me that she had asked for instances of discrimination before, but she said she didn't get any because a lot of people were afraid of retaliation. That is a legitimate concern for some people. So you'll notice that nobody is identified by name in this document. I either referred to the people by their first initial or by the word subject or complainant or something like that. I also protected the folks who are the alleged offenders and discriminators as well. Like I said earlier, I don't believe in persecuting people. So everything here is generic in terms of name and employers or place of public service. But these are all stories that I personally vetted myself. I will also tell you that other stories were sent to me, and for a variety of reasons, whether I didn't necessarily believe a certain aspect of the story, I did not include those. I have a relationship to every single person that's documented here. I either know them personally or I know people who were associated with the stories personally, so I believe that all of these pages are 100% accurate. I won't read through through all of them, but I'll just highlight a couple if that's cool. We can actually start with the first one. This is a story about a male professional who lives here in town whose initial is R. Moved back to Owensboro, attempted to rent an apartment in the Lansdowne subdivision. Leasing agent showed him that property, which he decided to rent. The next morning, he called the agent to make an appointment at the property where he would submit the deposit and sign the lease. Only this time, R took his partner with him. The leasing agent asked them if they were brothers or just friends. When R told them they were together, the leasing agent suddenly claimed not to have the necessary paperwork with him, even though that was the entire point of the meeting in the first place. The agent promised to call tomorrow, but never did. So R, a couple of days later, reached the leasing agent, who informed him that the lease was no longer available to him. I can tell you that exact same thing, almost identical circumstances happened to me. And I can also tell you that leasing company is still in business in Owensboro. We'll go to the bottom of page 1. This is a story of a local professional female who received a job offer from one of the most prominent employers in Owensboro and Daviess County, but was informed that her job was very public and her private life should always be kept private. The employee felt warned and threatened by this conversation as if it was a condition of employment. Turned out that it was. She left the position and she left town within 7 months. If you'll turn to page 2, the middle paragraph, 2 male friends of mine who are in a long-term relationship, they're now married. They went into a well-known local bank branch to secure a mortgage loan. When the loan officer realized that he was about to write a loan for 2 men, he quickly reversed course and told them that he could not help them. They had, and this is a quote, they had too much money down. And there was nothing he could do for them. So they had no choice to take their business elsewhere, which they did. They went to another bank entirely. And when that loan officer found out what had happened to them, she was completely flabbergasted by this. She wrote their loan for them, and I want to point out that there was no issue with too much money down because, well, I'm not sure why there would ever be that issue. If you will go over to...
How about the last page?
Last page?
Yeah, go to the last page. I'm being nice.
Hey, I've got a better one. Can I go to, let's go to this page. How about this one? It starts at the top, national candidate for a local position. I've shared that story publicly, and you all can read back over that, but let's go to the one at the bottom. It says local transgender male. Subject applied at a local restaurant franchise. The interview went great. The subject was in line for a store manager position, pending a clear background check. The subject got a call a week later from the hiring manager, who asked him to come in. The subject went in expecting to discuss hours, starting date, etc., because he knew the background check was clear. When they sat down in the lobby, the hiring manager started quizzing him loudly about why he used to have a girl's name. She then asked him, if this is a quote, if he was one of those trannies. According to the subject, everybody around was listening, and again, I'll repeat, this took place in the lobby. The subject informed the hiring manager that he did not see how that had anything to do with his ability to do the job. The hiring manager proceeded to start calling him tranny aloud and told him to get out of here and that, quote, things like him were not welcome here. An update to this story, that hiring manager was reportedly fired after the individual filed a formal complaint with a corporation, the national corporation. The hiring manager apparently had a history of homophobic and racist behavior and had other cases filed at the same location. And they had an investigation. That person was fired. So, okay. But there are 20 stories there from a variety of people, instances, housing, public accommodations, and employment. So there you go.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Sure.
Any other comment? Yes, sir.
My name's John Fowler. I'm pastor of Southside Fellowship Church. Have been for 24 years.
I'm sorry, Pastor. What church?
Southside Fellowship.
Okay.
I represent a coalition of churches in Owensboro that's rather large. It represents a large segment of our county. We have a different perspective on the fairness ordinance. We just wanted to make you all aware that we are formulating our position, and we'll be willing to share it at the appropriate time.
If you don't mind, bring it, if you want to bring it after one of our meetings and present it to us, kind of like Chad did, we'll
Yeah.
be happy to look at it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And just share with a number of those pastors today that asked me to speak on their behalf, and so I just wanted to show up and do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any others? Come ahead, Commissioner.
Judge, Commissioner, Gary Boswell. I want to say that I'm retired now, but in the last 10 years of my business activities, I own my own company, and I had over 1,000 W-2 statements at the end of the year, which means I employed over 1,000 people. During the time of my 35-plus years as an employer in this county, not once, not one time did I ever discriminate against anybody based upon their sexual orientation or their color or for any other reason. If they were qualified, we hired them. I've also been very involved over the years in multiple rental properties, and I can say the same thing to that. Now, in this current market we're in right now in the rental business, if you own rental property, or if you know anybody that is, you might have multiple applications for a rental situation. And not everybody is going to get that apartment. So it's not always for that. Now, the only other thing I want to say is I don't want to talk about any specifics tonight, but there was a comment made in the paper just recently about a number of signatures that want a petition. And that represented, I just want to say, that represents a very small portion of our population. And secondly, there was a comment that 98% of the people, and I'm not getting any younger, so I may have misunderstood that comment, but I think there was a comment in the Metro Inquirer that 98% of the people were in favor of this fairness ordinance. And I can tell you for sure, I haven't talked to one single person who's in favor of it in the circles that I run in.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Gary, I will give you that 98% was not a correct statement. So
It wasn't in the paper, you mean?
No, it was in the paper, and I think it was said, but I don't believe that was taken or meant in that direction. In the statistics that I read, I don't find any number that high.
The last thing I'll say is, if anybody watched the Democratic National Debate, which I did, watched all of it, and you can see, and I'm very concerned where some of this stuff is heading, where a church can lose their tax exempt status for not hiring certain people, where businesses can be sued for not baking a birthday cake for certain people. And when it comes to our religious freedoms, Christians and other people who are opposed to this type of lifestyle, which we don't approve of, put that way, then we're concerned that our rights will also be in jeopardy. So
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Is that Andy Gamblin? Yeah. All right, Andy.
My name's Andy Gamblin, and I live at 2920 Yale Place, the Roosevelt House. And first of all, I'm a born-again Christian. And I'm very, very concerned about this fairness ordinance. I know Henderson's passed it. I know Bowling Green, some others has done passed it.
No, Bowling Green is not.
Bowling Green has not. I know Henderson did.
Yes.
And I know some others have passed it too. We don't need that here in this county. I pray that y'all will not go down the same road. One, it's going against the Bible. The Bible says man and woman.
This doesn't have anything to do with whether they can marry or not.
That
is state and federal law, Andy.
I just pray.
Okay, but I want to correct you. This ordinance,
I just know what
what
the
is
Bible
being
says.
proposed would not.
Well, I just
Bridge
pray.
that.
I just pray that y'all would not go down that road.
Okay.
We don't need this, okay? No one should be discriminated against. I agree. No one should be discriminated. But what about our Christian rights?
I don't think any of those ordinances that have been passed abridge your right. No, it does not.
It's going to open up.
Claude?
It's going to open up the door.
Does not.
It does not. And
But it
as
will.
well, Andy, I'm not going to get in an argument with you, but as far as opening it up, those things have been opened up for years. I heard what Gary said, and I mean, Gary knows this. You can be sued for anything by anybody, and that kind of stuff goes on all the time. So I don't know that it's going to open anything up any more than it's already opened up. But
And just like he said about the Democratic debate, I mean, our country's in trouble. I mean, they want to lead us down to
well, I think our country's in trouble on both sides. So let's not just blame the Democrats.
No, I'm just saying, okay?
Okay,
They want to lead us down to a socialized country, and we don't need that.
okay.
And I just pray that y'all won't go down this road.
Thank you. Anybody else? Andy, because I know your name, I forgot to write it down, and Gary didn't write yours down. I'm making a list and checking it twice.
My name is
Yes,
Philip.
sir.
My name is Philip Anderson, and I just encourage you guys to take a lot of consideration in making any changes. I think we should do what the majority of the people in our jurisdiction are in favor of. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? I was hoping this was going to be a short meeting.
My name is Waylon Ramming.
Lynn?
Waylon.
Waylon.
Live in Philpott.
I had a Waylon that kept books for my private company for years. Nice guy. Kept me out of trouble with the IRS.
Good. Good.
Terry didn't catch the last name.
I'm sorry?
Ramming. R-A-M-M-I-N-G.
Okay, thank you.
My husband and I happen to own a couple rental properties here in the county as well.
Okay.
And we do have multiple applicants when we have one available. The ordinances that have been circulated in past and other regions are very clear that a property owner, such as myself, is not infringed upon on evicting someone who damages a property or would otherwise be a problem. So I don't think that's really a concern. I'd also like to share an interesting discussion today about the health insurance for the county and how critical it was to be part of a bigger community to save $1 million to $2 million a year. We cannot be so insular.
It was critical for your tax return
Absolutely.
or taxes that I'm going to charge you.
That's right. And I like that growing tax base because my husband happens to be part of that Kentucky retirement system and I want it to be funded too. My former employer in Evansville was a Fortune 1000 company. About 5 years ago, they got a letter from the largest state investment in the U.S., and it asked to see their employment non-discrimination policy, or they would take their $300 million and go somewhere else. That Fortune 1000 company has now been bought up by a Fortune 300 company, and those non-discrimination policies stay in effect. It is the way of the world. It's the way to be part of a larger community, and I hope we continue to grow Owensboro and Davis County.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Good. All right, comments by the commissioners. See you, Gary. Commissioner Colger, tell us, whine about your knee. Why don't you tell us about your knee adventure?
I tell you, these knees can be good and bad, and my first one was good, so I jumped in for my second one. It's total knee replacement. It hadn't been real good, so I conversed with the judge since he's had two done, and say, do you have these problems that I'm having? But you know, I'm getting better each week, and I'm glad to be here.
Mike, I was kidding. We don't care.
Well, I'm sorry you don't care, but you know, I have an obligation to make.
No, I understand. No, you're doing great. You're making really good progress. It takes a while. I can tell you from experience, it takes you a full year from the time you've had it replaced to the point where you don't think about it when you get up, and then it just becomes part of your body. Commissioner Wathen.
Pass.
Commissioner Castlin.
I just think you should be more encouraging of Commissioner Colger.
I've invited him to race down the street. I've invited him to send Donna over to our house while he stays at home and whines and cries. I mean, I'm pretty encouraging, right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
I called him while he was laying in bed down in Nashville on really good drugs and talked to him for a while, although I'm not sure it was him I was talking to.
Yeah, and I can remember a court meeting, Judge, when you was on them, and we could definitely tell.
Oh, absolutely. Nothing else. The only thing two things, and I want to remember again, everybody, that the Friendly Village Sewer Project dedication is October the 28th at 5:30. We have another project that's similar to this that impacts twice as many families, 125 families that we're trying to get taken care of because of the good weather we've had this summer. We really think that we're going to get this project done way ahead of schedule, and that's out at Cedar Hills. As a matter of fact, I was out there, looked at, David, you and I went to Cedar Hills. They're really moving along. On October the 25th, from 1 to 4 p.m. at the H.L. Neblett Community Center, there's going to be a Kentucky Criminal Justice Forum. It's extremely important that we look at criminal justice and reforming it, and just from a local level, and Waylon, just from the standpoint of your tax bill. We have a jail that's overcrowded, continues to be overcrowded, and every one of those people that languish in our jail, accused by the state for violating some state crime predominantly, we're paying for. And we pay for them until they're convicted of a crime or they're found innocent. So it's a huge impact to our budget. We were at one time seeing some progress and got that impact down to under $1 million a year. We're now above $2 million a year in our subsidy to the jail. So we need to look, and I was one of those guys that used to, if you use drugs, I just as soon throw you away, until one of my brothers became a meth addict, spent time in the jail, and it's amazing what having one of your own, how that will influence your thought and your concern about people with those same kinds of problems. So we really need to take a look at this. Every county that I know of is having this problem. The only county that I know of that their jail does not lose money is Henderson County, believe it or not. And they are predominantly federal prisoners, which pay a lot more than the state does. Red, white, and blue, what's the Tuesday, 29th, red, white, and blue, out on the courthouse lawn. That's where all of these Republicans and Democrats will come to make a pitch for why you should vote for them or not. And I would encourage everyone to come and attend that. Halloween, Mike, I'd stay off the street. Halloween night is the 31st, and everybody be sure to watch out for the hobgoblins. Those little kids, they get excited and they get on sugar highs and they run amok, amok, amok. What's that from? Hocus Pocus. If there's no other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court without exception, we're adjourned.